What happened to King Solomon after he built the temple? You guys got to stick with me on this one because the end of Solomon's life, he rebelled completely against Yahweh. We're going to talk about this and dive into 1 Kings. That's next on the hyperlink. I'm a former Freemason. I was one for about a decade, and I heard dozens and dozens of references to King Solomon being the wisest man ever to walk the earth. But they never told me how Solomon's life ended. So I thought, you know what, we're going to dive into 1 Kings and take a look exactly what the Word of God says about the end of King Solomon's life. I'm going to give you a little warning right now. This story is dark, really dark. It involves human sacrifice. So at the dedication of the temple, Solomon said, "And may your hearts be fully committed to the Lord our God, to live by his decrees and obey his commands at this time." As a part of Yahweh making Solomon the most wise man ever to walk the earth, one of the conditions was that he would not marry outside of his own nation of Israel. So what did Solomon do? He grew in power and he started marrying other wives from other countries. And, the word here says that basically as he got older, his wives turned his heart away from Yahweh and he started worshiping other gods. So it says he followed Ashereth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and Moloch, the detestable god of the Amorites. And if we follow through a little bit more through 1 Kings, it says, on a hill east of Jerusalem, Solomon built a place for Chemosh, the detestable god of Moab, and for Molech, the detestable god of the Ammonites. He did the same for all of his foreign wives who burned incense and offered sacrifices to their gods. Building temples to other gods was completely against what Yahweh said that he was, the one true God to be worshipped. But what they did in those temples was really, truly detestable. That's actually a great word for it. So let's take a look at who these gods were. So we're going to start out with Molech. This is a depiction, pretty ancient depiction of the god Molech. This is a little bit more modern rendition of the god Chemosh. And this is a little bit more modern interpretation of the god Ashtoreth. It says that he followed Ashtoreth and Molech. Yep, says it right up here. And Ashtoreth was actually the feminine equivalent to Baal. Baal was the sacred masculine, and Ashtoreth was the sacred feminine. All three of them had one commonality in the sacrifices that were made to them in those temples. That commonality was human sacrifice. So not just humans, but small humans, if you know what I mean. Look at this drawing here of a Molech sacrifice. You'll see what the priest is giving to the god. So it, like I said, it wasn't just an insult to Yahweh that he built temples for them, but in those temples that happened. So in a Masonic ritual, the worshipful master dresses up as King Solomon and talks about how Solomon is the wisest man to ever walk the earth. And he actually raises the candidate from the dead, figuratively, in a Masonic ceremony to make him a full master mason. But they don't tell you the end of King Solomon's story. Where those temples were built was called the Mount of Corruption. Well, Jesus decided to take back that mountain for his glory and for Yahweh's glory. He re-sanctified that terrible, terrible ground because the Mount of Corruption is now known as the Mount of Olives, where Jesus ascended into heaven in all of his glory. So if you're a Freemason, oh yeah, right here, this is a 1700s drawing of the worshipful master of the lodge dressed up like King Solomon, raising a candidate from the dead. But if you're a Freemason, look at that Bible that you took that ungodly oath on and read more and read the true story of King Solomon. It's going to change your heart because they're not telling you the complete truth. They're telling you a bastardized fiction of what happened. And also, the stone that the builders rejected became the cornerstone. Those builders were the people that Jesus said, I've come to complete this. This is completely useless without him. God bless you. And if you like this kind of content, do me a favor, hit that follow button right there. And remember, Jesus is enough. You don't need all of these false narratives to become a better person, to live a better life. Jesus makes you better at life, and he makes life better.